This is a story of true passion, a story of friendship, a story of courage. This is the story of Bingbing and the young pioneers.
Yeah, I remember because you have to qualify for the race. You have to be one of the fastest 33 teams to get into the race. And there's more than 33 teams that try. And I remember it was qualifications day where you actually raced to try to get into the race. And Carl looked at me and he's like, what happens if they don't get in? We had already been filming.
Welcome to another edition to Talking with WIT Kevin and Son. And today, this interview is personal. This is one of my neighbors from a small town here in Pennsylvania. We have Miss Odette Scott, creator of the documentary Bingbing and the Pioneers. This young lady has studied abroad, and she has created such a wonderful story, a positive story, overcoming some adversities, overcoming assumptions and stereotypes of people from other countries. And she has put together an amazing story about an amazing race. For those of you that have never heard of the Little 500, it is Bloomington, Indiana's biggest event for college students ever. 25,000 people travel from all around the world to see this. But this time, showcasing 4 young Chinese riders for the first time, and a crowd that will make the Jamaicans at the Penn Relays blush a little bit. Welcome to Talking with Kevin and Son. I'm Kevin McLemore, and I'm joined with that go-to guy, entrepreneur, and entertainment entrepreneur, Ife. Odette, I'm Odette Scott. I'm going to welcome you, Eric, Lou, Richard, Hen, the Stars, and Coach Field. Welcome. Odette, how you doing? And congratulations.
I'm great. Thanks for having us all here.
No problem. Thank you for coming. I know your schedule is very busy. I know this is a long project in the making, but with every movie, there's a beginning, middle, and an end. But the biggest thing that anyone ever asks of any filmmaker is why this documentary?
So I made the documentary because I was on Indiana University's campus, and I noticed that there were a lot of Chinese international students, thousands of them, and that they were referred to on campus really as a group. They were generalized, the Chinese students. And I had spent a lot of time in China, and I knew what it meant to live in a foreign country, kind of straddling 2 cultures. And I knew that that's what these Chinese students were experiencing. And I wanted to provide a real introduction to a few of them so that Americans could see that, no, they're not all like, they're not they don't all like the same things. They don't all do the same things. They don't all want the same things. They're actually individuals. So I thought I could provide that. And then when I met the young pioneers and they wanted to race in the Little 500, which is, it's really unusual and brave. It's a really ambitious desire. So I thought, well, this is an amazing story. I have to support them to do this. And I think that this story is the perfect way to introduce this group of students for Americans so that they can really see what their lives are like, not just at school on campus, but at home in their cities in China. So the film goes to China and we see them riding their bikes on the streets of China. And one thing that really worked in this film, in this story, is that bikes are something that China and the US really share. They have a shared love of bikes. It's a connection point. And so there's so many problems right now between China and the US, but to focus on this really positive commonality that we have, and to focus on the next generation and how they're going out of their comfort zone to try something new and engage and connect. That was really, it all fell into place. That's really what I wanted to tell.
Well, I've watched the film 4 times. The first time it brought tears to my eyes because I won't give away what part that I cried about, but I think Coach Carl cried too at the same part. But I've asked a couple of people about the Little 500, and everyone recognizes that race with the movie Breaking Away with Dennis Quaid. I watched that movie last night, and I didn't see any representation of any Chinese Americans or international students in that film. Going through this process, was there any pushback of being different, a different type of writing team, being an international team signing up? I think you guys are the first ones, and please correct me, that ever entered this race. And I'll go with Richard. And I believe, Richard, you were a graduate at that time and the team captain. Am I correct?
Yes, we are the first international student team in the Little 500 history. And I first know Little 500 is from YouTube, and it's one of the reasons I came to IU. And I want to join this race, but when I asked my friends or asked other friends in the school and have any students from Chinese students join the race or participate in the race, and they all said no. And I searched the history, and the only thing I know is there used to be a Korean team. You trying to race in the Little 500, but they didn't get into the final race. And I think we are the first one. And thanks of the support from Coach Carol and Bingbing and all peoples, and also Professor Lopez and many people like in the university. They help us and make it happen.
So this was the beginning. Now, how did you go about the recruiting process of getting your teammates and convincing them to do 50 plus miles in one afternoon and doing all the training? And who recruited Coach?
Yeah, I think recruiting is the hardest thing for us to start a team. And the first one, I know Eric, and Eric is one of my best friends and my teammates in the university. And we are good friends since the freshman. And we start to cycling together. And then we did just 2 of us. And then like Bingbing, she started a calling out meeting. And we joined the meeting. And then there is another, so the first year, our freshman year, we only have 3 riders. Is Eric and I and another riders from Hong Kong. But he is a senior, and we didn't qualify this in our freshman year because we only have 3 of us. And normally, you need 4 cyclists for the race, and so starting in the next year, I think we find Tony and also Adam. They are another 2 Chinese students. They love cycling, and we start to build this team. And also Bingbing is our team manager. She puts a lot of efforts to build the team together. And she and her parents start a restaurant in Bloomington. And they post the newspaper. Newspaper reports them, and they want to sponsor us. And the Coach Carol, I think is his wife saw the newspaper, and then his wife told Coach Carol he should help us. And I think that's the story start from here. And we have meet each other, and Coach Carol started to helping us to know how to race in Little 500. Because before that, even though we tried it one year, but we don't know how to practice. We don't know how to really train and to get used to race in the Little 500.
All right, let me ask this, because I'm sure since Eric showed up, you guys are still friends after watching him throughout the movie. tell me the recruiting process and what were the requirements, and how did Odette get involved with this racing team in the story? How did you guys make the connection? And I'm going to let Hinge go ahead and tell that part of the story. So
how recruitment works? Technically, we met in a gas station on grocery store in the first or second week in Bloomington. When I was there during my freshman year, I just bought a Diet Coke, and then I saw two guys riding road bike outside, and then I just say hi and what they're doing, and then they show me the team. So that's how I got recruited.
So who were the two guys that you
it's the Richard and Eric. They were just cycling and buying a bottle of water from the same grocery store.
So since you had a bottle of Coke, they had water. Eric thought it was a good idea. Said, hey, how much pain can you take? Would you like to ride with me and a couple of friends for about 2.5 hours or so in a race on a dirt track at the school? And you said, oh, sure, let's do it. Is that how it worked?
Yeah, sort of, to be fair.
Well, actually, I'm more friendly than that. If I say that, I will be scared too scared for a new freshman.
All right. And how did you find Odette and Coach Eric?
I think for Odette, it's a connection between Richard and Odette, and I heard from Richard that there's a director.
I can add on that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because this is another interesting story. Because I know Odette's boyfriend Jim from the dark room. Because I'm also
Richard. You just broke a lot of people's hearts. There were people tuning in and said, "Oh shucks, I'm cutting this off. I thought Odette was single." Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, and Jim, he also speaks Chinese. Yeah, he studied Chinese in the university, and he's a photographer, and I'm also a photographer, and I'm looking, and both of us we were finding the darkroom, and we want to use the darkroom to process our film. And then we meet together, and then we started to become friends. And then like Jim told me like Odette, his girlfriend, he's a filmmaker, and he wants to make a documentary film of us. And I'm very welcome of that, because I think it's a good way for us to get more exposure and to get more people to know us. And that's where the film start to, and it takes about I think almost 2 years, not only 1 year, so almost 2 years to film us. And I think they spend really many efforts on this. And also Jim fly to China and film our hometown, and you can see a lot of scenes and shots in the film. That we are riding bikes in the cities in China.
Odette, as a filmmaker, trying to tell a story on the fly when there's no script, and especially when you're trying to overcome and addressing stereotypes and assumptions about a culture. I know here in America, we are struggling with diversity, and here you are making a film. And then you bring in a coach from Texas, that's living in Bloomington, Indiana. I'm going to leave it up to you or Carl to tell me how you got connected and what made you think that this group of young men could at least compete in the race and qualify for the race and then finish the race.
Yeah. I remember, because you have to qualify for the race. You have to be one of the fastest 33 teams to get into the race. And there's more than 33 teams that try. And I remember it was qualifications day where you actually race to try to get into the race. And Carl looked at me and he's like, what happens if they don't get in? We had already been filming like a year. And I looked at him and I just said, I never thought of that.
So Carl, your introduction to this team, was it year one, year two? What made you say yes to this dream?
It was kind of a happy happenstance that I got involved to begin with. The team already existed and was together. Bingbing had put together the team, and they, as Richard had mentioned, they failed to qualify the first year. And like he had also mentioned, I read a newspaper article about Bingbing. It wasn't about Little Five or the team. It was about this kind of entrepreneurial young woman in the Kelley School of Business who had started a restaurant locally and whatnot. And there was a little paragraph at the very end that said, oh, and she also organized a Little Five team of Chinese men. They had attempted to qualify for the Little Five and hadn't. They were self-coached. And I said to myself, well, of course they didn't qualify. That was kind of a given to me, because it's like you don't go to your final exams without preparation and long preparation. And I said, as long as a group like this with no experience and no knowledge of cycling or racing, they're not going to qualify. So the natural thing for me to do was to say, I'm in a position to help them. I need to reach out. And so I contacted Bingbing, and the rest kind of just unfolded.
Well, I know my Ride and Die guest host has a question for Lou, so I'm not going to dominate this question. Ife, go ahead.
Okay. Hi guys, and I saw the documentary, and I just want to compliment everybody for how y'all made that film come together. For you coming from China, coming into Bloomington, Indiana, what were some of the differences or changes that y'all had to get used to, knowing that you were now in the United States? So this is anybody can pop in when they want to, but just had that question. What were some of the differences that y'all encountered, or some of the differences between China and America?
Go ahead, Lou.
That's a very big question, but I do have some very remarkable details that impressed me a lot. So first is when you encounter a stranger on the street, especially in Bloomington, usually they would say hi to you or smile at you. But in China, because I was born in a big city in Guangzhou, in South China, and usually people would just walk their own, and it's like living in the American countryside. It's kind of a more relaxed and comfortable environment, and in this kind of environment, that people just being nice to each other. While in the big cities, then everyone is busy at their own businesses, and that's one of my impression that change like my attitudes. That Americans, they're very friendly as well, so you just need to be nice to them as well. And the second thing that I would wanted to talk about is actually the Americans, they like the whole population, I think that they enjoy competitive sports quite much. It's not just like football, basketball, baseball, but also like for cycling, just like the Little 500, and you can have fans of like 40,000 fans or audiences in the stadium watching you racing. And I think this is also kind of different from what I experienced in China, because the portion of people that can put effort in training their own in some professional sports, it's still like not quite much.
Eric, I want to ask you a question, because you're the silent assassin on this team, and I think you were the one that had a couple experiences on the track that exceeded expectations, if I can say that. You have to watch the movie to see Eric's experiences on the track. what challenges did you have to overcome as a student at the university? Because I know that your primary education is strict. The secondary education in China is much more relaxed than it is here in the United States. Did you have to overcome any experiences or any situations being accepted coming from a whole nother country into this country, or were you guys received with open arms at the university?
Well, from my experience, probably I'm not too much sensitive to this differences between China and US. So I think everything goes smooth in my undergraduate experience, and I feel like it's more like an open arm situation. And in terms of the track, I think that's cycling is one of my hobby, and I really like cycling since I was like 6 or 7 years old. So I really enjoy the high speed. So that's why you can see sometimes I'm not nervous when I got into the track. So yeah, that's basically my answers.
Hung, Hind, what was the hardest part about the Little 500 or this whole experience?
Weather.
The weather?
Yep. I grew up in a place with weather similar to Miami, and there is Indiana where it snows 4 months a year. So imagine my surprise. And the Little 500 is in April, which means we have to train during the snowy months. So that's my unfavorite part of this whole thing. Riding in the snow.
And I saw you guys were racing coach in your training. Unbeknownst to you, you guys use manpower. Coach was supported by horsepower. Anyone feel that they were at a disadvantage at that time in your training?
You mean when they were trying to keep up with the scooter?
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like I can still catch up the coach, even though I'm using the manpower.
All right.
I was wanting a hook to his scooter so I can just sit there.
Coach, what was?
I remember drifting behind coach on the scooter. We can get really fast because there's no air in front of us.
All right. I'm going to ask a personal question. What was the weirdest thing Odette did while filming the movie? Anyone?
Well, I think the most weird thing that I'm not like I'm feeling difference is that every time I need to talk, I want to talk something with Odette, and she just answered me in a weird way because she needs to hold the camera and then look at the camera screen, and it seems like she didn't respond to my question. So that's the thing. I think it's weird for me.
All right. We're going to ask the same question about coach, because coaches have a tendency to have little sayings that they say to everyone. What was coach's one line to everyone? What was the thing, one thing he continued to repeat while trying to motivate or encourage you guys? Not one person?
I can remember one sentence is that it still motivate me until now, is that you need to train harder than your race. So every time like you have, like for me, there are a lot of like interview when you find a job, so you need to practice. So every time if I want to get a job, got an interview, I need to practice more. I need to cover more scenario and practice harder than the actual interview happened. So that's still, I still remember right until now.
All right. The reason why I asked that question, because I was listening to his motivational speech before you guys were getting ready to race. And one of the things he says that, you guys have worked very hard. He says, I believe in you. He says, just do your best. You're not going to win, but do your best. And me as a competitive athlete, I'm going, well, you just kind of diffused everything you had me geeked up for. So let's go through your equipment. You all had to ride the same bike, 2 bikes. And I believe, Richard, you were the team mechanic. Am I right? Lou was. And there's only one gear. And Lou, I have to tell the listeners, Lou, because he had graduated, was not able to participate in the race. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you, Lou, you're a track star, because when I watched you on and off the field, getting the bikes from and repairing the bikes and getting them back to the riders, you set world records sprinting back and forth. So I was very impressed. Everyone had to ride the same bike. Do you guys have a sponsor?
I think we got our own bike ourselves the first year, and then can't remember whether Bingbing has get us some sponsor. But it's like let me see, because the registration fee I remember is around it's include the bike. So each bike, it costs, I think, more or less about $400.
Okay.
Yes.
And it was a Swin bike, correct?
Yes, that's a tradition.
Okay. And why is it everyone has to ride the same bike?
Because in this case, everyone is fair on their wheels, and so you need to compete with your manpower, but also your cooperation and like exchange skill and so on. But these are all based on the same platform, the one-speed shrink bike.
All right.
Some of that is based on just the tradition. The race has been going on since the 1950s, and the bikes themselves have really not changed at all. And part of it is to create a level playing field where nobody has an advantage of superior technology. There are certain modifications you can make to the bike, but they're pretty minor. And so everybody is on a similar single speed bike. So it creates that level playing field.
Now, Coach, I want to ask you a question, and this is a little personal, because I'm curious, because anytime I hear the conversation of someone being the first, there's a reason why there has not been a first before this one. At Bloomington, Indiana, why is it that this Chinese bicycle team has the honor and the privilege of being the first to not only qualify, but to finish the race?
Well, I think the first bit of credit for that has to go to Bingbing, because she was the one who took the action to put together the team and put together the right team of individuals who would be motivated to see it through. And really all I did was kind of gave them the guidance and helped get that performance out of them that was always there. But they needed help finding that, and they needed some mentoring, they needed some guidance. And so that was my only role, was taking that ability they already had and helping them find it.
Let me go back to the question I asked you, because historically, anytime you hear a different culture being incorporated into a system or an event that has never had someone that looked like any of us represented, is it because of not being accepted, not being welcomed? And the reason why I asked you this, because you're the coach, there always has to be a reason why these guys are the first. And maybe I should ask one of the athletes, Hinge.
To be fair, I think there are two reasons. First one is to be able to qualify, you have to work hard in the snow. Most people I know don't like it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Second reason, to be honest, I think it's just if a sport is primarily played by, it's like popular among one group of folks, it's usually not a usual thing for other people to want to just even game. unless in this case, for us, we really like riding bike and we are willing to work for it. So that's how we got it.
The love of the sport. Odette, all right, you're the filmmaker. The truth has to come out. Is the reason why acceptance, opportunity presented itself, or was it just the athletes that became the first, the desire in order to compete in a race that normally hasn't been welcomed to them? Because I know on most campuses, diversity is not probably the first part of the conversation. It's an excuse, but it's not part of the popular conversation. And we all have to be honest that anytime that you have the conversation the first, there's been a pushback in order for previous people in order to even be in this position. So as a film director, I know they had to overcome stereotypes. Was this a challenge in making this film?
Well, to your point about kind of the gatekeepers of the race, one thing that I noticed when I was filming was the extensive rules of the race and the vocabulary of the race. I mean, it was hard. And when I was filming the whole process, I was always looking at the riders, always looking at these guys to see, like, did you get that? Like, they would refer to the stuff on the track as cinders. Like, that's a hard vocabulary word. And there was like intense rules. And there was like a whole book online that you had to read because you had to take an exam so that you could get in the race. Like, in terms of the information that you had to learn and the tests you had to take to be able to race in this race, I thought, well, this is a very good reason why there's never been an international team in the race, because this is like, if you don't speak really good English, you're gonna fall behind. So I noticed that. And then in terms of filming the story, you just like show up on the track and people were very welcoming to the young pioneers, I thought. And I tried to capture in the film, giving advice or tips, if Adam, who isn't here, he was a little bit wild on the track sometimes. And so at one point, American rider had to come up to him and say, you need to keep your wheel clear of your front wheel clear of other people's back wheels. But it was helpful. So I thought that once you got on the track, it was really a good feeling to see everyone with a shared goal and a shared passion for this race and riding around the track.
It looked like a lot of fun. And I know that, when you guys start to talk about the race day, and we're going to come up on talking about that, the reason why I asked that, because my better half is an avid Ironman racer. We have watched the Tour de France left and right, you name it. We watched Breaking Away and the history of different biking events. And we know that the rules change on the fly, depends on who's dominating and who has an advantage and so forth. But competition is competition. And to see a group of young people celebrate a sport that we all love, competition, and bond together and watch individuals from other teams shake hands with individuals from other countries, congratulating them. I was touched. And now I want to know who was the first leg on the bike?
Adam did the first leg.
Okay, so Adam's not here. Who was the second?
Was that you, Eric?
Yeah, I think it's me.
All right, Eric, when you hopped on the bike and you got in the midst of the many, many people on there, because I know one of you crashed. I can't remember which one of you crashed, but you had some road rash. What were you thinking as soon as you mounted the bike?
So first of all, I'm not crashed. Adam crashed, and if I remember correctly, I didn't crash in that race. And second, as soon as I mount on a bike, the only thing I was thinking is to keep up and stay on the others wheel. So I feeling like I have a goal to achieve. I only need to finish this race and then to compete with each other and be the first one in the group, or at least catch up the group. So That's the only thing I was thinking about. I don't have any efforts, any other like time to think about other stuff, because that was very intensive race, and everyone is so fast, and I just need to catch up with others.
Adam, you're on the bike. What was your thought process?
Adam's not here.
I mean, not Adam, Richard, I'm sorry.
Yes. When I was on the bike, and pretty much I'm like Eric. I was like trying to drive behind someone and try my best to ride as much as I can, as fast as I can. And I remember, as you mentioned before, and the coach told us in the beginning of the race, we want to finish safe, and we want to finish strong. We just need to try our best to finish the race. And when I was on, and I also remember when I was riding in front of our rows, so I can heard the cheers from our friends, and that's very cheerful. I thought, wow, it's really the first. We really make the history, because before Young Pioneers, there is no Chinese students coming to the final race day because they don't have a reason for it. And now, because we are on the track, they have the reason to join the race and cheer for us. And one of the big points of the Little 500 is that all the tickets that they sold, all the money the tickets they sold, it will be donation for a foundation. Its foundation is for the student scholarship. And then I think Young Pioneers contribute to this scholarship because we have more Chinese students watching the race on the track.
And that was one of the most amazing parts about this whole event, is that the money was raised. It's a big celebration for the whole week. The money is raised in order to help financially assist students that are struggling financially to finish their education at Indiana University. I know Ife is dying to ask another question, so I'm going to go ahead and again, go ahead, Ife.
Okay. What was a few things that y'all as members of the team gained after the race, besides being friends and having the experience of training on your bikes? What were some things that y'all gained from the total experience? And that can go for everybody, from coach to Odette. But I know that y'all participating in this event, finishing the event, meant a lot, not just for y'all, but for the people that were cheering y'all on. So what were some things that y'all gained from this experience?
Well, I can start. So, well, I remember like when I finished the race, and I recognized a lot of strangers recognize us. So when I went to one of the class, and the professor said, "Oh, you are the Young Pioneer teammate," and then I was like, "What? You knew us?" So I feel like we got a lot of public attention after that, and I feel like it's pretty proud of our team. So.
Now, coming into the last lap, who was the final rider?
Eric.
Eric.
Yeah.
So Eric, coming into the finish of the lap, everyone's finishing through you. They're counting out. They're calling off the times. Was there a moment that basically before you crossed the finish line that you felt that you have done something that no other person had ever done, and you've been part of such a great event? Was it life-changing?
Yeah, from my like as a team, I think that's really we are really pioneers, and at that moment, I feel like we did it. We achieved that as a team under everyone's efforts, and I'm really at that moment I feel really good, and also from my personal perspective, I didn't get that much attention since I was grow up. So I didn't like show up with like under like 100,000 people in the stadium and the race. So that's also makes me like I feel like bring a tears in my eyes when I cross the finish line and go back to my pit and saw everyone is cheering for us, and we like I feel like we share the same goal and we did that. So that's pretty like very emotional moment, and I'm proud of that moment. Yeah.
I'm going to ask this to Coach. Coach, at the finish, when the team was together, what did you say to your team?
Probably fighting through tears. That what they had done was monumental, really, without exaggerating. There was so much over. We didn't even start training until it was around holiday time. There was no, we're training for a year for this race. Lots of things had to go right. Lots of things had to line up. And the odds of successfully preparing for and qualifying for and finishing the race were really high. And I was and continue to be overwhelmed that this team pulled it off. I have trouble expressing how incredible that journey was, really.
And seeing your coach and listening to your coach almost tear up, you know, a year or so after the event itself, and listening to what he just said, how does that make you feel?
I'm feeling a little more emotional, I guess. Back then, for us to actually be able to finish it, it's hard. It's, to be honest, this race, to be able to finish it and mostly train for it, probably build me the foundation for many things I do after that. I try a lot of different things because I know I can do it if I can even suffer 10 hours in the winter every couple of days. There are like many things I can't do. So yeah, this is a big deal for me, at least.
I'm going to take one more question from Ife, then we're going to try to wrap this up. I have something I want to ask. I have two things I want to ask, but Ife, I know you want to ask one more question.
Okay. How and this is for the team, for the riders. How do you feel that your life changed after that race was over? I know we kind of touched on it a little bit. Y'all felt a sense of accomplishment. Y'all had your friends and your classmates cheering for you during the race. But how do you feel your life changed after this race?
Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah. So I feel like I think it's kind of like the same thing as Tony mentioned. During this experience, we have a lot of troubles. We overcome a lot of difficulties in there. So it's kind of like a benchmark for me in my mind, is that if I can overcome those difficulties, I can overcome a lot of other things. So after this race, I went to a graduate school. I need to go to a lot of exam, and after the graduate school, I need to go to a lot of interview to find a job. And this experience in the Little 500 motivated me to give me a confidence that I can overcome those things, because I survived in the Little 500 training. I can also survive other difficulties. So yeah, that's it's a big change in my life, and help me to motivate myself to move on. every time when I encountered a difficulty in the life.
All right, I'm going to say this, and this is to my listeners. For those of you that are employers, and you keep talking about, millennials, they don't want to work. I always say hire an athlete, because an athlete knows how to sacrifice. An athlete knows how to show up on time. An athlete knows how to work within a team. An athlete knows how to overcome objectives. An athlete commits to the task at hand. So with that said, when you look at the documentary, Bingbing and the Pioneers, there is a whole section. If anyone has ever been to the Penn Relays, there's a whole section of Jamaicans cheering on their team. And out of 25,000 people, there were a lot of people, most of them were girls, that were cheering for the young pioneers. I want to find out, and I'm going to ask Lou first, who got kissed first?
Lou was too busy cleaning up.
Lou, no one hugged you and kissed you?
No, I don't think so. But on that day, I remember I busy picking up all the bikes back together and try to take. I remember that day I take about 3 bikes into my car's the back trunk, and yeah. But I think my life, because I'm kind of different from the young riders, I still have my studies to do, but actually that experience also inspired me a lot, and makes me successfully finish my first half Ironman race in 1.5 years later.
Congratulations. And so with that said, we're going to do a roundtable real quick. Want a quick update to where you are now in your life, and how this experience and being the first has helped you, because all of you guys are either in school or employed someplace. So Richard, I'm going to start with you. Hens, I'm going to go to you next. Eric, I'm going to go to you, and then Lou, and then we're going to come back to Odell and Coach. Go ahead, Rich.
Okay, so now I'm living in Beijing, China, and I start a business, and I'm a co-founder of this business. We start a brand called Hongding Row, and it's an online made-to-measure suit brand. So on your cell phone, you can type in you can either type in your size, or you can use your smartphone, take photos of 3 pictures. Front of you, back of you, and the side of you, and then we can with the AI will help us to measure your size, and we will make the made to measure suits, and we will deliver to you. But now this business is only in China, so but maybe in the future we can go to U.S. market.
When you decide to come into the U.S. market, you can size me and Ife up. All right,
Okay.
Yes, so I'm currently living in Raleigh, North Carolina, working as a management consultant in a consulting firm, mostly in consumer goods and retail industry. Yeah, that's about where I am right now. In terms of things after how this changed my life, I did 2 master's degrees after I graduated from IU, basically trying to figure out what I like. And it's give me a push about there really isn't much things I can't do after surviving that winter.
Now, Hinge, were you the one, and I read in someone's bio, you took more credits in a semester than anyone?
Yes, because that time my program advisor in my freshman year, first semester, she told me I can't take more than 18 credits. And after that, I'm like, I'm gonna show you.
Well, I hope your employer watches this and pays you more money, because you're an exception to the rule. People are going to be trying to steal you from your current position because they know you put it down. Eric.
Yeah, so I'm currently in the California Bay Area, working for a fintech company, basically just to helping them to manage the personal loan origination, mitigate some credit risk in there. Since the race, I went to the graduate school in Wake Forest University in North Carolina, Winston-Salem. And after that, I find a job in South Carolina in the auto loan company. And after that, I moved to California. So as I said before, this experience, it is a wonderful, wonderful memory. It's a very, very like emotional stuff in there. So it also helped me to motivate me to move forward in my life. Currently, I still have a lot of difficulties in my job, but when I watched that movie, I feel like I was a hero at that time. I can overcome a lot of stuff. So it can help me to like face a lot of difficulties in my current work. Yeah.
Yes, Odette, I want to do this. How can people see the film, and how did
Wait, first we should go to Lou.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me do my show. I'm going to go back to Lou. I have a reason for doing it.
Oh, okay.
Odette, how can people see this documentary?
So the documentary is almost done. I'm working very hard to finish it after a long editing process. I'm doing the sound edit and the color correction. I'm having people do that. And I just want to give a shout out to Michael Bacon. He's a very experienced composer, and he did the music for the film, which we are
that was one of the things I wanted to say. Go ahead. Michael Bacon, Kevin Bacon's brother. Go ahead.
Kevin Bacon's brother did the music, and it is gorgeous. And I'd like to give your listeners a sneak peek, maybe the first 10 minutes of the film. It would have to be protected, but I could share that link with you, and we can give that to your listeners so that they can see some of this film that we've been talking about. And then I hope that it will be released next year in festivals.
We will make sure that happens. And Lou, the reason why I saved you from last, because you're the unsung hero, all right? No one ever talks about the person that carries the bags. No one ever talks about the person that, putting the fork back on after it's been damaged. No one is talking about the person that, would love to be in the race, but, for obvious reasons, couldn't be the race. You are the hero of your own story, because the real heroes are the people that support the people that are actually participating in the event. And I wanted to save the best for last, that you have given more of your heart to this team, and every heartbeat of every pedal and every stroke on that bike, your teammates race with you. So I wanted to go ahead and let you be the hero of this. So how has this impacted your life, and has it changed anything?
Well, so actually, all these young team members, they helped me to fulfill the wish of accomplishing this race, because only undergrad students are allowed to attend this race. And the time I joined IU, it's already for my graduate school. But I'm quite grateful that they finished this. And actually, I got the best point of view of viewing the whole race on that day, because I was just in the center of the stadium, and I can watch them really close, and I can even feel the wind and feel the sounds, and just to enjoy every moment of that afternoon. And after this race, I continue my graduate study on virus assembly. And after my graduation for my master's degree, and I come back for China. By that time, actually, the COVID pandemic did not happen. And so I switched into biopharmaceutical industry and become a protein characterization scientist for a contract development manufacturing organization right here in Guangzhou, China. And after working for years or 2 or 3, I still keeping my bikes on the walls, and sometimes I will ride on them, and also just keep exercising. As you can see, I'm still thin as maybe 7 years ago.
All right.
And that helped me with a good habit. And I would just show my appreciation for this event, for the people here, and for the people who actually help us a lot. Yeah.
All right. So this is the hard part of any interview. We're talking with Kevin and Son. We always ask this of 99.9% of our guests. And it's because we have a very loyal following. We don't have a lot of people that follow us. There are 2,500, 10,000 that listen to us. But we have people that have a higher call to action. Our listeners, they don't stop. They don't drive by a scene of an accident. They stop to help. So I always ask this of every single guest we have on here. And we've had 4 people that have had their ask come true. So I told you guys earlier, I normally surprise people, but we had a lot of people. I'm going to start with Coach. I'm going to finish with Odette, and then we're going to go to Hinge, Eric, Lou, Richard, and then Odette. Coach Carl, you've done a phenomenal job for a bunch of young people. And I think the greatest sound that a man can hear, other than being called dad, is Coach. I'm very proud of you, son. So what would your ask be?
My ask, very simply, would be pay it forward. I think every one of us, myself included, and everyone who's listening, could use a big heaping helping of empathy and compassion for everyone around them. And if we can find a way to do something good for the people around us, whether they're people we love or total strangers, I think we need to make an effort to do that. And giving people the opportunity to do that would be my wish.
Hinge.
I guess I wish in today's world people can be just more open-minded. Go to places, try the new food, grab a beer with people before they're accepting the news or the stereotype without thinking exactly where is it from. So if you grab food and grab a beer, really, we are all not that different, even though we might have really different view on things. And that's something I wish for.
Eric.
Yeah, my wish is to wish this society this world be more diversified. Since I'm in California, a lot of like Asian in here, so I'm kind of like have a reverse culture shock over here. I want to say is that I wish everyone to be more inclusive. Here you can hear some different voice and you be more open-minded to accept the difference between your culture and my culture. So that's it.
Lulu.
My wish is to maybe we can end this pandemic. I don't know how's it going in United States right now, but right now in China, we are still wearing masks and we do the COVID tests. It's a daily basis. I don't want our next generation think of wearing a mask as a must. So probably if we can go back to like 3 years ago and figure out a curation for stopping it from spreading, that would be great.
Filmmaker, documentary maker, dream maker, good person, Odette Scott. You've done an amazing job. This is one of the first few times I've ever had anyone that I've asked for an ask, and every last one of them asked to change humanity. No one asked for anything personal. You know, I've always been told, if you are the smartest person in your circle of friends, to get new friends. I am so glad that I've been blessed at this moment, and I'll speak for Ife and with Ife, that we have been surrounded with an extremely special group of young people that just have a good heart. They're athletes, they're competitors, they're good citizens. They're an example of what humanity should be like. And I hope this film is on every big screen possible. I will ask my friends, George Lee, to take a look at this film. I would ask my friends at Lionsgate to take a good look at this film. Remember, one of the Bacon brothers did the music to this, all right? We have a lot of films out there that are just made for profit. Documentaries are made because there's a story to be told or needed to be told. This one needed to be told. I'm happy to meet Bingbing and the Young Pioneers, the first across the finish line of the Little 500. And filmmaker Odette Scott, what is your ask?
I hope that I can bring this film not just to big screens, but to small community screens in the US and in China to inspire more people to play sports, to engage with each other, to listen to each other, to share with each other, and to step out of your comfort zone to try something new if it's your dream.
All right, so we always showcase people we should know. And this is another episode of Talking with Kevin and Son, brought to you by RMK Productions and the 10 United Podcast Network. Through the power of story, our mission is to uplift, share stories, and inspire, share experiences and perspectives using the framework of teaching, learning, and modeling. Our purpose is hope, helping other people every single day. We appreciate all of our listeners for staying with us, listening in. We appreciate all those people that have subscribed. And if you have not, go to RMK Productions and Network on our YouTube page and follow us and subscribe. Please share this video. We market on a global platform, and we'd like to have your feedback. Sometimes I struggle with an ending to a story that's beginning. And so I'm going to let this begin. Freedom is something that is really not won. It's something that's given from the heart. Humanity is something that attaches to your soul. It's not taught in a book. It is not taught in a class. It's taught through sharing experiences and traveling the world. Take this experience in this documentary and hold it close to your heart and share this story. My grandfather always says, when you get to a place where you can help someone, it is your duty to do so. Reach one, teach one. And with that said, we'll fade to black, and we're out.